As Rosemary has introduced me, this has been a long time coming. It's been years since Rosemary has been nudging me, but I am privileged 23 years later to pluck a gut and share. I'm not an expert. I am here to share my story. And without further ado, like she said, I am a wife, I'm a mother, and the background of all this begins. I did an forestry, BSc forestry at Makerere. It was a 4-year course, but I always wanted to be a doctor. And those were the days of it was only government sponsorship. So you miss your choice, they go down and pick something for you. You either take it or leave it. So that is how I ended up in forestry. I eventually did a master's in business administration, finance. But to go back a little bit, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My mom owned a restaurant in Nakasero. My dad is a mechanical engineer, a very practical engineer at that. And from the age of 13, I always went with mommy to the restaurant. I always helped her out. It involved early mornings, quickly preparing breakfast for the market business people. They would come in, eat quickly, very early, eat quickly, enjoy their meal. It was a joy to see them come back again and again. Yeah, that was, growing up with my mom and dad. But fast forward, I did my MBA, came back to Uganda, was really eager to work in a bank. I really wanted to work in Standard Chartered Bank. That was my bank I wanted. I remember buying a few clothes as I was coming back. There was a shop in the UK called Wallis. I bought some pinstripe skirts and trousers. Those were my items I always wanted to wear. So I looked for a job. No one offered me a job. And the reason they kept giving was I did not have an economic background in my undergraduate. So it was a bit frustrating. One incident, as I was looking for a job, I went to a company I will not name. It's still operational. I went through the interview process. They called me back again 2 times, and I seemed like I was getting that job. It was a Thursday. The lady told me, "Come, we're going to call you next week to let you know when to pick your letter." So as I was leaving, I thought, well, I need to tell her, it looks like I'm getting this job. And I was 3 months pregnant. So I told the lady, "Look, I have something to tell you." So she said, "Yeah, what's Angela?" So I told her, "Look, I thought I should let you know I'm about 3 months pregnant." No, she said, no problem. We'll call you next week on the day you need to pick your what do they call them, letter, acceptance. So fast forward, the following week, I waited for that call. And 23 years later, I'm still waiting for that call. I never got that job for having told them the truth. So, well, I thought I should throw that in just to let you know, how painful that was. So, first back to my mom. Something I picked working with my mom was the way she did the daily savings. Because it was a restaurant business, money came in every day. So at the end of the day, mommy had a little list of must-save things that she had written down, things like school fees, shopping for home, our home essentials, rent. So every day she used to take off money from what she has made and put it aside. And I noticed it helped to release, there was no pressure. When rent came, the money was there. When it's time to go to school, it was always available. But because she came saving, and that's something that really I picked up. And honestly, I still practice it today. So fast forward, no job in sight. I volunteered in a cleaning company, a dry cleaning company that was going under at that time. It was for no pay. I was asked, just go sit in there as the bank was rolling it, it was closing it. So I sat in there with the staff. The owners had taken off. They had run off, and I think they were not servicing their loan. So while I was there, it was interesting to see how the young ladies at the front would talk to customers. At the back, machines were completely not working, but I was quite intrigued at how they interacted with their customers at the front. The customers did not even they were not bothered with what was at the back. So that is when the seed of being in that industry got planted in me. And with the backing of my husband, Timothy Masembe, I told him, you know what, this is what I want to do. But the old machines cannot be old. I saw what they go through with old machines. The technician is nearly part of your team. He sits there just waiting to repair your machine. So with his help, I started looking for information. There was not much I could get, but I had to look for info on the net. There were already some big dry cleaners that were operational those days, but you couldn't ask anybody. So I traveled to the UK to do some research. And in the meantime, I came across a place where I could do a course. I did a course in the UK. Many years later, I did another dry cleaning course in the US as well. But I took quite a while looking for information, machinery. I got a premise. My first premise is on Ginger Road. Long before we got the machines, looked up a logo, I met some boys at university who helped me come up with my logo, and on in June 2002, we opened our doors at Ginger Road with a staff of 4, 2 of whom I still have with me, Sarah and Ibra. And yeah, that's the day we opened, 2002. It was a day in June. That first day we received one item. It was a trouser. I honestly, I really hope I had kept the name of that customer, but it was I was so anxious that day. We got one trouser. My 4 employees kept telling me, you can't run a whole machine with one trouser. Let's take it to, dry cleaner X. We clean it from there, then we bring it back to put it in our polythene. I said, no, we are going to run the machine with this one trouser. So we did that. I was going. Okay. We cleaned our trouser. The next morning, my husband called me and said, Angela, thank you. Congratulations on opening yesterday. If you made any sales, please bank that money. I told him, I cannot, I have 7,000 shillings. How am I going to take it to Barclays Bank and make a queue? So he sent me his messenger. I wrote the banking slip, 7,000 shillings. It was a 5 and a 2. So when the messenger came, I gave him my book. So when I gave him my book, he signed and said, where's the money? So I told him it's inside. So he opened, there was a 5 and a 2. He smiled You went to you went to Barclays, got it banked, brought back my book. And what that taught me from that day was to bank everything that was made the previous day. And that is a practice I am proud to say I have done until yesterday. You know, we bank everything that we make the day before. So I think that is as far as my background is. So as we proceed, I pray that you can pick, you know, something as I continue my presentation. Allow me to turn my camera off as we continue. Okay. My early days as we opened was one of the challenges were the handwritten invoices. You know, everything was handwritten, everything was manual. There was too much cash handling. You know, there were no other modes of payment, no cards, no Momo Pay, no Airtel money, and with that cash handling comes a lot of temptation. You know. Then secondly, I found an industry which had, you know, a culture that was a bit, you know, not really straight. In the dry cleaning industry, the human resource was really challenging, you know. And there was quite a lot of dishonesty going on in there. Recruiting was a challenge as well. You'd find people, you have one person who, when you ask, where can I get another presser? He brings his brother, then he brings his cousin, then before you know it, you have a whole clan in there. And they, at once in a while, always did things that were not really nice. They would click up, they could gang against you, against a decision you've made, you know. So that's another thing that I found in there. Employees, our business has lots of temptation. And you find one of the things they do a lot in our industry is they, in quote, they do business in your business. You know, you could think that you have so many clothes you're cleaning, but in there, so many other things have been brought in by the employees, not recorded, but they have snuck them in and they'll sneak them out as well, you know. And because of a lot of manual, everything was so manual, tracking those kind of things was nearly impossible. You know, you would be working as they are working together. That could easily bring down a company. Stock taking and reconciliation was also very tedious. And like we all know in business, if you can't take stock at the beginning and the end of a particular period to reconcile and see what is happening, you know, our people we work with would be really ahead of the curve. You know, by the time you finish your reconciliation, it's of January, you know, you're so many months behind. So those were the challenges that I found as we began. So before I attended the ETW course, I really had there were no clear positions in Spot Clean, no managers, things were not well spelled out. Our operations, it was day by day, you know, it was me who knew everything. So my team was not, everything wasn't well communicated. We had no mission statement, we didn't have values to guide us, but that is how we operated in the beginning. So I ended up in that situation where you're working hard, you're not working smart. And that went on for a couple of years, to an extent where I could barely travel. I could barely take a holiday, you know, comfortably. You are always so worried what is happening in my absence. So the 2 weeks, the time we did ETW, I think it was 2 weeks, and it was intense. And they occupied us fully the whole day. we barely had time to go back and check at what was happening at work. I later found out that this was intentional to see how your business is going to survive without you for those 2 weeks. We had a lot of work at the end of the day. We had to create a business in there, so there was quite a bit of stress. I was always on the phone trying to manage from wherever we were. I think it was Equatorial Hotel. But as we went through the course, it opened my eyes to various aspects that were missing in my business, and after a lesson like today, you'd want to run quickly in the evening and implement something, but you just did not have time. So by the time we were done, we were all so fired up, and during that time, we were all able to identify bottlenecks in our systems. And those were the areas we had to go and attend to rectify and implement to see some change. So then came the implementing, one of the two things that we quickly implemented after that course was the streamlining the cleaning process. We, together with my staff, everyone was involved in coming to talk through the workflow. When an item comes from the front, how does it move all the way to cleaning and back? So that was a workflow. We drew charts, we talked through that, and we still do, because along the workflow, when things go wrong, it is easy now to tell what happened when everybody has bought into the workflow of our process. So that's something we went through, we documented, we talked through it a lot until 23 years later. We still talk through our workflow because it keeps changing. Then quality control was something that we intentionally had to think about. It was, at that point, it was a bit haphazard. So in our spaces, we all work out of small shops, which are not custom built for our processes. So trying to implement where you're going to check these clothes before they move forward was a bit tricky, but we had to. We had no option. We had to place that quality control place where we check. We eventually now are able to say that everyone in each department actually is a quality controller. You can't wait to throw everything, all the hundreds of clothes that are received daily, to be checked by only one person. Everyone along the way must be able to check and stop an item that doesn't look presentable. So those were the two things that we quickly implemented after that our course, coming up with a proper workflow and the quality control element in there. So the business kept growing. We kept expanding, got branches. At the moment, we have 13 branches to date, include with one in Entebbe. So space was a bit challenging, as you'll see much later. But one of the things that has helped us in our expansion was getting appropriate software for our industry. Now, that was a game changer. The difference was day and night. From handwriting and trying to read people's handwritings to just typing away, that it was a big step, a very expensive one. But when you buy tried and tested softwares for your businesses, you find lots of aspects in there that you can choose from. Sometimes they can even tailor make it for you, for your industry, for your region, Africa or Uganda. And with our improved internet services now, all branches were now looped together. And from my office where I sit, I get real-time information, because of this kind of software. And things like stock taking now became 10-minute things that used to take us, stock take for 1 month would take, 1.5 to 2 months. Now you can do it in about 15 minutes. So with that, even those funny habits, they started dying away, and people needed to straighten up in how they were behaving. It also improved customer experience. There was a time you would even find customers looking for their clothes with a girl, because it was like a forest of clothes in the shop. But now with just a click of a button, she can tell where, this suit is because of that kind of software. So that was a big changer, a game changer. Hiring staff and training is something we do really intentional. It's very important because now we have clearly spelled out company values and our business vision is real. So as we hire staff, we really talk a lot about our values and our vision. I'm very protective of my teams that we have created and we have now. So when you bring in somebody, however hardworking they are, if their values are not good, he might be a very good presser, very good, but, doesn't love taking instructions. For example, our production manager is a lady, Rehema. We've had people boys, men, who find it very difficult to take instructions from her. So if after talking to such people, if they can't change and if they can't change their ways, however good they are, we let them go because they will spoil the team that we've made together over the years. We also take training very seriously and we take our time doing it. It takes a while, we keep it. It's even after somebody 3 months has been confirmed, we continue doing so much learning, on-job training. For example, now the girls at the branches, in their downtime, we often have an assignment a week. I bring up a question, a scenario, and they have to write down. They have an assignment as they are working, which also has a deadline. Sometimes it's 2 days. They have to hand it in, then we can discuss it over Zoom. It could be topics like how do you deal with an upset customer, or how do you talk about an ink stain at the counter? How do you explain it to the customer? So we scattered as we are, those are one of the things we do a lot. They answer those questions, they type them out, they send them, then we get a moment, maybe a very early morning, we go through our answers, but that is an ongoing thing. So, to improve on their garment care, because like you'll see later, cleaning starts at the front. Cleaning is not only dealt with by the cleaning department, it starts at the front, in the shops. That's where cleaning starts. So these ladies have to be well trained about what we are doing. So customer service is something we've enjoyed doing, and over the time, even the term has changed to customer experience. I love that term. Customer service was so, saying good morning, thank you, and all that. But when you start explaining to your team what customer experience is, then they do change, So for us, customers don't spend a lot of time at the counter. It's about 5 to 10 minutes. Sometimes it's a phone call, a conversation. So the question we always ask is, how did you make that customer feel as they were interacting with you? Now, if you can answer that question, with that continuous question that we ask, how did you make the customer feel? It helps remind us to correct attitude, to use good language, the tone of voice, body language, as you try to answer that, how did you make the customer feel? So when you make people feel good, you're knowledgeable, you stood up, people are likely to come back, So however good your product is, if people don't feel, if the experience is not good, they don't, they will look for somewhere else to take their money, So customer experience is something we talk a lot about. We remind ourselves all the time. So we do have our staff, they are friendly, they're helpful, they are knowledgeable, and we encourage them to engage with the customers at the desk, because they are the first stage in cleaning. So they end up having to they must pick quite a bit of information, but you just can't engage with a customer when you didn't make them feel welcome. So it's something they try a lot. Engaging is a must, keeping quiet as you're receiving items. You might receive an item and we send it back to you and say, there's this tear. But if you didn't greet the customer, somehow you're going to have to call them back and find out more about that item. So you might as well do the right thing, give them a good 5 minutes and pick up as much information as you can. Then another thing that has helped as we were expanding is financial discipline. As a director, it's not an allowance, I get a salary. It started small and it has grown over the years, but it is called a salary and I have to fit my issues within there, So it's not about picking money at any one time. I also get a monthly salary. Like I talked about the banking, we bank all the money from the previous day, all, And nowadays we have card payments, we have Momo, Airtel, and that has helped a lot. The handling of cash reduces, so does the temptations with those who handle it. Then after you bank everything, you then withdraw it in an organized manner. You have voucher systems or whatever software you're using, but it is important to bank everything that you made the previous day, then have an organized way of withdrawing. And another thing with financial discipline is to realize you have bills and obligations to pay. You've got rent, you've got NSSF, pay as you earn, utilities, umeme, these monies, we remove these monies periodically through the month, so that when the bills are due, the money is there. You can't come the umeme bill can't be shown to me and the money is not there. We have systems that we remove money in an organized manner, put it away, because those big balances can confuse you, thinking that this money is yours, yet you have so many other things to pay before it becomes yours. So that's something we practice on a daily with my team. And even it's something I like mentioning to my girls or anyone who is leaving Spot Clean to start their business. It's always my prayer that they have picked something. But one of them is bank everything, put things aside. You have rent, you have salaries, put that portion after you've worked out how much, at least on a weekly basis, you need to save, put it aside, take it away. It's not your money. And you'll be ahead of all your bills. And it has helped us. Yeah, we finally were blessed many years later, because now space was becoming a problem. We were in a very small space. The business had grown. We thank God for that, but now space was acting against us. So with the help of the second director, who is my husband, we started looking for a space. We were blessed with a space along 6th Street, and we built it specifically. It's built to spec for our business. So it really organized our work. It's a bit bigger. We were able to bring in more better equipment, automated equipment, which we now can, you couldn't even introduce new equipment in that small space which we were renting. So our Spot Clean place, we call it, it's our production center. That's where everything happens. It's an organized space, I must say. So we were able to upgrade our equipment. We automated some equipment, so that made our turnaround time, we now can give you something back in 2 days, in 1 day, in 45 minutes, depending on the urgency. But the standard time now we give is 2 days. So it improved our quality, it improved our work efficiency. The staff are happy. It's a nice space, but where we began from wasn't nice, tight, and we outgrew it. So this came at a very important time. Otherwise, we were now going to plateau and start going down. We were not meeting customers' expectations. Things were always late. Customers were not happy, but that has since changed, and I thank God for that. Then comes to managing people. Our working hours are not like the white collar jobs, 8 to 5. So I am very aware, and I am passionate and intentional. And I think a lot about how I can make the working environment a little better for my people. We have long hours, we have night shifts, we work 2 shifts. So taking leave is mandatory. We don't pay people for leave. They take it, paying is they would love it. We used to do that, but now you tell somebody, go and sleep, So we give people leave, they take day offs, a few weeks ago, I was chatting with one of my girls at the branch. So I asked her, how are you today? So she said, Madam, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. And this was a Monday or a Tuesday, I think. So I told her, okay, you call Sarah, the manager, ask her to give you the day off tomorrow, and she was given a day off because she just felt tired, So we offer those kind of things because we are not generators. When somebody says they are tired and yet they're representing us at a shop, just give her the day off. So we also tend to have fun days through that once or twice in a year when we can afford it, where we shut down and we go have fun, we learn something, laugh and have some good food out there. So we have managers, we have positions, managers, operations manager, we have an accountant, team leaders with their assistants. I delegate quite a bit as well in our work, but I am not an absent MD. I am very involved and I'm present daily. I am approachable. My staff can approach me anytime with anything, and I'm always glad to help. It's also nice to see them improve themselves. They buy land, they are building homes, they are educating their children, they have side hustles, which I encourage a lot. And getting financial help, I don't, I give it to them, within limits, but it's something I give soft loans when they are needed, We have medical for them because when you give them the 30,000 per month for medical, they will always be sick, and they will be absent. They don't get proper treatment. So providing medical is something that I decided we do. They go physically, they are treated, they take a few days, then they come back and they are well. So allowing them to buy those small medicines on those, small half doses, they will never be well. You'll always have either sick and absent people. So that's one thing we do. Lastly in there is our young ladies eventually become mothers, So I am very lenient with, expectant mothers, new mothers. I bend backwards to see that they are comfortable, at least until the child is about 5 months, So that's something I know we do quite well at Spot Clean. We've never had a mother who gave birth and never came back, unless it was a family decision. And while talking about this, I remember a few years ago, I recruited a lady who, as I was interviewing her and telling her when to start, she then tells me the same thing I told a certain lady many years ago. She told me, Madam, I am pregnant. I was like, I had a few seconds to make up my mind. My mind went back to that moment. I told her, it's okay. You come and start work on Monday. A few weeks later, my staff were noticing that somebody's stomach was growing. So they thought I didn't know. So with a lot of mumbling and grumbling, somebody was brave enough to call me and ask me, are you aware that the lady that we just employed is expecting? And I told them, yes, I am. And they all kept quiet. She was blessed with twins. And after that, she gave us another about 7 years, So that for me was a full circle moment. The day I gave that Nalongo a job, And yet she had told me that she was expecting. So we have meetings, we meet quite a lot, how we manage to have consistent service delivery and staff accountability. Like I said, we visit our workflow quite often. When things go wrong, if we deliver late, if clothes get mixed up, we always go back to find out what happened. And when we find that bottleneck and we bust it, we clean it up, we change, our efficiencies really improve, So we just never stop talking about our workflow. So we do that together. We find out who didn't do what they were supposed to do, And one question I'm known to have to always ask is, could it have been avoided? And if the answer is yes, it could have been. Sometimes there are monetary, issues in there, but that is how everyone is accountable. It's not a forest out here. So they like teasing, I hear. They like saying one of Madame's best phrases is, could it have been avoided? And that is how we try to solve our issues back office. We have mandatory meetings, scattered as we are, we have staff meetings, we have, short daily huddles in our departments. We have weekly meetings in production. We have monthly meetings with the girls, much as we have to work every day, we always find a moment to meet, recalibrate, we listen to each other, we agree some changes that are necessary. We then also have platforms that are real time, we see I can tell what is happening in the different branches without having to call them every 30 minutes. Those, their WhatsApp groups and all those things help us to keep abreast every day through the day without spending hours on our phones. So it's a group where we all can see what is happening. Phones are not encouraged. Phone calls, individual phone calls are not encouraged because we all need to know what is happening. And as I conclude, my final advice, is seek information, in whatever you're doing. Receive training as you set out to do what you're doing. Read up, attend exhibitions in your line of business. You will always pick up something that you can introduce in your business. Then secondly, separate yourself from your company's money. It's not yours. Have an organized way, either it's dividends, salary, but it is not yours until you're done with so many other things. And lastly, identify your distinguishing feature. Define what you want to be in your business. It has to be relevant to your market. Is it having smart stuff, nice shops, warm shops, could be online, could be delivery, but at the core of your decision, you should have a good product in what you're doing. Try and do the best. Let it be the best product as in the market in your area. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, I come to the end of my presentation. I hope you have been able to pick a lesson or two. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Wow, wow, wow. That has been excellent. Thank you so much, Angela. You have shared from your heart. And your presentation has been loaded with key business principles. I'm sure everybody online has a pen and you've been noting some of the principles that Angela's shared. I love when you started, I love what you talked about volunteering. If you want to acquire a skill, if you want to learn something new that you don't have, take time and volunteer in a place where someone does the same business. Then you're able to learn, because Angela's business was planted, or it was birthed at a point where she was volunteering in a cleaning service. I also like what you talked about, looking for information. Friends, in business, we need to be continuous learners, looking for knowledge, looking for information. We've talked about reading up, having the discipline of attending exhibitions. And I want to congratulate you all for attending this session, because this is part of learning, continuous learning, looking for information. I like what she talked about, banking all your monies as they come in. That one is a big one. And so starting years, and probably even now, the biggest challenge, 4 out of 5 of her big challenges revolve around human resource. And I think it's the same for all of us in our businesses. And Angela's shared such tips. I love the way, listening to Angela, it looks like you have a family, shared values. And so for all of us, those are questions to ask ourselves. What is the average duration or stay of your staff in your business? Do they feel they belong? And I like when you said, in our cleaning business, everybody's in cleaning, not just the people in the running the machines, but also the power of leveraging technology. Where we can, let us embrace technology to build efficiency in our businesses. Then policies and procedures, and I'll ask the question later, but policies, do you have written manuals? Maybe Angela, you may want to tell us a bit more in question time. What policies do you have? You talked about recruitment. You just can't recruit anybody. What policies do you have? Are they written? Do your staff know them? Procedures, how do I, how does every staff know what they're supposed to do? Is it written so that you can hold them accountable? And then I think that you do a lot of continuous training for your staff. That is really, really important. And then I love what you said, that quality control is everyone's responsibility in the company. It's not just in the production line, but at the start as you're receiving the customer. And I think that is important. And then lastly, the customer experience. Customer experience vis-a-vis customer service. We know that today's customer looks out for, they want to make an emotional connection with you, the service provider, and with your product. And so that good feeling that Angela talks about, I hope that all of us have noted that. When a customer, your commitment should be to ensure that your customer a good feeling. Because it is said, research shows that 85% of the reason why a customer buys and comes back to you is because of the good feeling. So if you get that secret, which Angela has shared, and many others, I think we should be good to go. So I now want to open this up to the floor. So I'll take the first 3 people can actually put up their hands and you will ask your questions directly. But the others, I want to ask you to type your questions in the chat room and we'll be able to take those questions. For those who have just joined or who joined a bit late after the introduction, This is Enterprise Uganda delivering a weekly business recovery series where we bring different speakers in different aspects of business to share about their experiences so that we're able to learn, we're able to be inspired, and also to be able to take these lessons back into our business. Because ultimately, we want our businesses to grow, to move to the next level. And so today we've listened to Angela share how her journey, how she has grown, the challenges she's had, but how she's been able to circumvent them, build business systems, and now her business is at a level where it is able to run smoothly. So please put up your hand and I should be able to pick you. And the first three will ask, and then the others will type in the chat room, and then we take it on from there. Any hands up? I don't see any hands up in the chat. Any hands up? So I'll go into the chat and pick your questions. So members, you can hear me? Okay, there's a hand, as I was just about to do that. Susan Nambi, your hand is up. Please go ahead and unmute and speak.
Thank you so much, moderator. Forgive me for not having my camera on. My internet connection is not stable. And I want to thank Mrs. Masembe for her very insightful presentation. Thank you so much. It was very good. And I hope that we have been recording it for the rest of us. So my question is basically about envisioning your employees. How do you make sure that the vision is clear throughout the company, as you have many employees in many branches? What do you purposefully do to make sure that the vision is clear and it's being lived by the employees? Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Susan, for that question. We have another hand up. Please go ahead and unmute and ask your question. Yes, Susan, and members, we will share this presentation is being recorded, and we'll also share these slides with you on your email that you registered. Okay. Sanyu, please go ahead. Sanyu, please unmute and ask your question. Sanyu, are you there? Please unmute. Okay, I think maybe she's Jacqueline, please go ahead. Your hand is up. Unmute and ask your question. Jacqueline.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you.
Yes, I hear you, Jacqueline.
Okay, thank you. I'm Jacqueline Chikomeko. I'm a Human Resources Officer with UNWFP. And I'd like to, first of all, take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Masembe for this amazing presentation. So I have two questions. So as a Human Resource Officer, I heard Mrs. Masembe talking about her employees and what she does in order to retain them. So, and I was very encouraged by that. And I wanted to ask her not necessarily names, but what is the longest employee you have had in your company? And how, okay, I know you've given very many examples and everything, but I just want to know what was the longest employee you had, and maybe when they left, what was the #1 comment or feedback that they gave you? And then my second question is, what would you like to be remembered for in your company? Or what would you like your employees to remember you for? And then, sorry, I said two questions, but 3 questions. My last question is to you, Rosalind. how does someone
Yes.
sign up for that enterprise course that Mrs. Masembe took in 2005? Thank you so much.
All right, so thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jackie. Yes, we shall respond to those questions. There's Emma Chirwana's hand up, and I think Moses' hand was up. So Emma, please go ahead. And then Anne Waja will come next.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Emmanuel Chirwana. I'm into procurement consultancy, but a quick one for Angela. Thank you for the awesome presentation. Spot Clean is a really big brand that's taken over the market. One question I want to bring forward and understand is what's your strategy for business continuity in terms of the next generation? We've seen mostly Indian brands take over the market, the Mukwanos, and also, of course, proudly associated with the likes of Jessa, that has seen that after the first generation, there's continued plans put in place to see that you as Spot Clean have that continuity, that after yourself, maybe the next generation. Are you looking at equity selling or family continuity? Please share with us that. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's a very good question. Thank you, Emma. Anne Waja, please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Angela, for such an insightful and inspiring presentation. So many lessons to take away. My question is, how did you, the step-by-step implementation of those policies, because you talked about the 2 weeks training, ETW training. So when you came back from that training, were you able to implement all these at once? Or because I was just listening to your presentation and seeing so many things that I would love to implement, but how did you get into implementing the various lessons you took from the training? Thank you.
Okay, and so what we'll do, let us take these questions. Let me get Angela to respond to these questions, and then we'll have another round of questions. I see there are so many hands, but I also urge you now to type your questions in the chat, and then I'll pick them from there. So Angela, let me just go through the questions that I would like you to respond to that we asked. Susan is saying, how do you, she sees you have your vision, you have your mission, and you have your values. How do you ensure your employees buy into, align to your vision, that they understand it and they actually embrace the vision and the values that you have for your business? And then Jacqueline from UN World Food Program, I think, said she had 3 questions. Our first question is, how long, what has been your longest employee in the company in terms of how many years have they served with you? And when they left, did they share why they left? And then she also says, what do you want to be remembered for in this company? That's a good one. And then Emma says, what strategy do you have for business continuity beyond yourself? Succession planning. That's a powerful one. This is a family business. Says, how did you implement? So when you went for the entrepreneurship training workshop that Enterprise Uganda delivered, you came up with a lot. She wants to know, how did you prioritize, or how did you, she wants a step-by-step, but you may not have time, but I think, just share what it is that you learned, and because I think that there can be so many learning, to pick 1 or 2 and run with them. So just let her know how you implemented the key learnings you had from the training. Over to you, Angela.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. Thank you for that question. Regarding employee, the vision and our mission and our values and how they buy into it, we had a company, a marketing company, actually, forgotten, but it was Susan Severa who took us through. It was about 3 months of training as we came up with our vision and mission. We used to have seminars, meetings. We all contributed. We identified who our customers are, and what are they looking for, those kind of things. So when we came up with the, you know, the points, they are well displayed all over, you know. You can see something behind in our cafeteria, down at production, they are all over. And in our meetings, we tend to remind ourselves, you know, pick people and ask them to talk about one of them. So it's something, and as we were learning, we also learned that those are the things, like the values, those are the ones you can be, you know, penalized for, you can, you know, be reprimanded for while working with us. So we repeat them all the time. When things go wrong, we always pick out what went wrong in there, which value did you not attain, and it's the reason that you're in my office. So it's a little bit of a song, you know, communication, integrity, and all those kind of things. So that is how, you know, it is a repeated thing in many of our conversations, and it's displayed all over. The second question of employees, my longest, why employees tend to leave. One of the things I'm proud of is they don't leave Spot Clean to go to another cleaning company, you know. They are really ready to start something on their own. Sometimes their side hustle has now grown. It's time for them to move and give it their best, you know. Once in a while, somebody wants to continue studying, you know, stopped in S4, stopped in S6. Now they have collected money, they want to move on, you know. So that's how, and when somebody is ready to move on, we really, you know, we do miss them, but I know they are, you know, our ambassadors out there. I would like to be remembered how by the way I touched people and their lives, and how interacting with Angela or with Spot Clean, how it changed their lives. You know, that's how I want to be remembered for. And what have they picked? What have they picked from me, or for the years that they have interacted with me? What have I taught them? That is how I want to be remembered. What was the other question? Succession planning. That's a bit of a tricky one, but we've now gotten to a level we are trying to professionalize this. We have an accountant, things are in order. My daughter is, you know, she has interests. She, you know, she helps. She's more into the marketing side, getting her hands dirty, not yet properly, you know. But to be honest, we haven't gone that far, but we ought to. It's now 23 years and I'm not growing any younger. So Emma, there I am. That's that one. I can't go beyond that. But yeah, it's an important aspect to think about, honestly. I don't know, was there another question? Okay, we have manuals. We also have some in the process of being written. And to be honest with you, this business can sometimes suck you up, you know, and you forget to really put things down. I have Susan. I've been talking to her about putting, you know, getting somebody to come talk to me as they write, because I thought I would write them myself over the years. I have failed, you know, like I said, it can really suck you up, this cleaning business, because I'm a hands-on in here. I don't do many other things other than come to this business. So we have a lot of repeated work, you know, procedures are repeated daily. And actually, the moment you don't do what you're supposed to do to clean this white shirt, things will go wrong, you know. So there's a lot of repetition in our work. And when you do it right with the right detergents, things will always come out in a certain way. So not very many written. They're all work in progress being written down. But like I said, we have all our procedures are repetitive. So that is how somehow they get stuck in our minds. But you're right, we should be writing things down. That is something I thought I would write and have a big comprehensive book, but it will happen. It is, you know, Susan she's on this forum. She's supposed to have started on it, but yeah, that's how far I can say regarding policies.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So let's take some more questions. Let's take some more questions. I see Joyce Chikomeko, your hand is up. Please unmute and ask your question, and then I'll go into the chat room and read. So Joyce, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. As you say, I'm Joyce Chikomeko, mother to Angela. First of all, I have to thank my daughter. You have done so well. And I'm very, very proud of you. I never knew that our separating envelopes, you know, our daily income was something which was to help you in your current business. I thank God for that. So mothers try to be good examples to children. Now, Angela, have you ever come across some difficult clients? Like if somebody's clothes are spoiled at your dry cleaning shop. Have you had some difficult, arrogant clients? And if so, how have you handled them? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Chikomeko. Indeed, Angela is because you are. Thanks for modeling hard work and modeling, you know, she picked behaviors from you that became her own habits, and they've actually been at the heart of her success. So we appreciate you, Mrs. Chikomeko, for that. And yes, that's a good question. Angela, take note of the question, how to deal with a difficult client. So we want to share one of your life experiences and how that turned out. I don't see any hands up, but I want to read some questions in the chat. In the chat, Angela, Collins Amanya says, "Thanks, Angela." And Collins, we are Enterprise Uganda, not PSFU. So he's saying, where do you see yourself in the next 40 years? Wow. So where do you see this business in the next 40 years? And then what are the 4 points you can give to new startups that can do what they can do that you think can change their businesses? Now, Collins, most of what Angela was sharing are tips that you should pick, whether you are a startup, because she shared her journey from the start. However, Angela, just share a few more points. For a startup, a small startup, what are some of the tips that you want to share with them? And then where do you see yourself in the next 40 years? And then we have a question from Christine. She says, the presentation is really good and relays the ground to uphold good customer service, which calls for continued follow-up. So she's appreciating. Diana says, how did you multiply clients? I mean, in the interior business, but increasing clients and spreading the names is hard. How have you managed to grow your clientele? There are many more questions, so maybe let me add just one more question, and then you respond to those. Another question from someone is complimenting you. Carol says, good presentation, Angela. You have an eye for detail. Well done with your company. Chigwe Godfrey says, good morning. My question to Angela is, what guides her when recruiting human resource? You seem to have the magic or the key. You seem to have solved the human resource issue. What helps you when recruiting human resource? And I want to add there, do you have a recruitment policy or human resource policy or manual? Do you have those? So I think let's take those questions. Angela, please respond to those 4 questions.
Thank you very much. About growing clientele, for the longest time, we couldn't afford advertising. We didn't have that kind of budget. So we just concentrated and focused on what we do best. We do your work well, give a customer good experience, and they will recommend somebody else. That is how we grew. There was no advertising, nothing. It was just word of mouth. So it was do your work well, give a good service, give a good customer experience. Somebody will tell somebody else. And that is something we still, now we have a little bit of advertising, but however well you advertise, it is this customer who is satisfied who will tell somebody else. That is how we approach it. Guidelines in recruitment. I think it's just intuitive. It's when I talk to you, it's a feeling I think I get. Sometimes I could be wrong, but it's not been many times. Yeah, we follow our values. Our values help me take you through, and I can pick along the way, whether you will be able to fit in our community, and our values, we shorten them for METIC. That is meticulousness, effectiveness, a team player, integrity. Integrity is really important, METIC. Then communication is another part of it, I think. Meticulousness, efficiency, teamwork, integrity, and communication. But those are the things I tend to follow as I'm talking to you. Then during the training, you have 3 months probation. If we see that it didn't work out, sometimes even the person themselves can tell that they are not the proper fit. We've also had that happen, and the person clearly comes and says, I don't want to be confirmed. But that is what we do. Startups, do your research. In Uganda, people don't like seeking information, and that is one of the things in the course we did at Enterprise Uganda. Seeking information was one of the first things. Don't just, I want to talk to you. I get phone calls and somebody can say, my husband wants to start a cleaning business for me. Can I ask, where did you buy your machines? You're like, really? With this world of the net, you can't ask, where did you buy your machines? So seeking information is important so that you own that, that you want to start up. Then another thing is attend exhibitions. It's all in seeking. Seeking information is important. Attend exhibitions, trainings, talks. You pick a lot from there, but the rest were in my presentation somewhere. But the first thing, honestly, is seeking information. There are many different ways and platforms to look up what you want to do. Then, yeah, we are not perfect. It's work in progress. Once in a while, we get upset customers, I must agree, difficult ones. But honestly, when the fault is ours, we bend backwards to make it better, and that is something all my staff know. when the fault is ours. After we've gone through our workflow, you know, could it have been avoided? If the answer is yes, it could have been. That the problem is ours, we own it, and we will engage the customer and we find a solution. We just don't run away from our mistakes, you know. But when the fault is not ours, you know, the approach is a little different. But when the fault is ours, we have our manager, Sarah. We interact together, we talk about it, and then she makes those, they are not very easy phone calls, but we eventually come to an understanding, a compensation, or whatever that we have, you know, that has to happen. Then 40 years from now, of course, I will be really old. I'm 55 at the moment, so I'll be like 94. But I hope whoever will have taken up Spot Clean would have now moved to regions. I'm not very sure I can move to Kenya, and you know, those are good visions to have, but at the moment, I am here in our CBD, you know. But hopefully these Gen Zs can move it to another level. We have them lined up. I think that was it, Rosemary.
Yes. Yes. So thank you, Angela. So you can see that there are a lot of other questions have also triggered you to go and look at some of those areas, the area of succession planning, but also to explore your 40-year plan, franchising, because franchising is a business model that one can actually be able to do to increase your reach as you also empower other people to do business. So I think that we will have that conversation outside here. But one thing clearly, Angela, you are big on employee empowerment. I love what you said somewhere about side hustles. Your employees, you encourage them. The reason I have been at Enterprise Uganda for the longest time is that sole reason, that we are allowed and encouraged to actually do business. Very few employers do that. And friends, that is so big for any employee. So that is something that I want to encourage you employers to consider. Now, Juliana, I'm in the chat room here. Juliana says, Angela, I want to know if you have different bank accounts for saving towards the bills and overheads of the company. So please, you will throw some light on that. Then we have Lydia says, yeah, she's appreciating, saying, Mrs. Angela, Masembe is one in a million employers, a rare and lovely boss. Indeed, Angela, that's a compliment. Mildred has many questions, and I think she needs to, Mildred, I encourage you to reach out to Angela and have a one-on-one conversation, because your questions are so, they are so detailed. You want to know her operating costs, you want to know how she earns profits, and who her customers are. I think that you may want to schedule an appointment and talk to Angela one-on-one. So Spot Clean, the best way, the easiest way you can reach Angela, I'll ask if she can share her number, but the best way you can reach Angela, any of her 13 outlets across the central, Kampala and Entebbe, you can always, so go be a customer and then become a friend and then see how that grows, okay? I think we've taken most of the questions. The rest, there are many compliments here. Many compliments. The presentation, Kristen says the presentation is really good and relays a ground to uphold good customer service, which calls for continuous follow-up. So thank you very much. How did systems improve your client bases? I think that's what you really shared. There are many compliments in the group, Angela. People are saying thank you so much. And so on the chat room as well, we have a link. There was a question asked, how do we sign up for the entrepreneurship training workshop at Enterprise Uganda that Angela took? And so there is a link there, https://enterprise.co.ug. The link is in the chat. Please go into that and pick that link, and then you register, you sign up. If that fails, you can call any Enterprise Uganda staff, or you can step into our offices and you will do a manual process. But let's leverage technology and sign up. And so Once you've signed up, it is our responsibility to look out for you. We shall reach out to you, take you through the process, and you should be able to attend. It's a small class, intense incubator. Angela will tell you when you have time to talk to her, but it is a life-transforming training for a business person. So I urge all of you to sign up. At the same time, those who have business and want us to do the complimentary business health check, please, the link also should be on in the chat, that you should be able to sign up as well, and we come and give you a complimentary. It's complimentary. You will not pay for that one. For the entrepreneurship training, there is a fee to it. It's a small fee, or it's about 450,000 shillings for that 1 week. But after that 1 week, you will wish you had paid even double the amount. And then there's a last question here I see from Chiwanuka Betty. Says, elaborate on recruitment and retention. How do you recruit? How do you retain staff? I know you've already touched on it. You've talked about, first of all, your values guide you. You use your values to recruit somebody that aligns to your values. They must be meticulous. They must be people who are efficient and effective. They are smart. They are quick. They work smart. And then teamwork. Someone must be a team player. So the questions I'm sure that you design help you to pick those values. Does this person have teamwork? Are they a team player? Are they people of integrity? Friends, integrity. You can see Angela shared at the start that most of her challenges around human resource, pilferage, people are not honest, they will pick. So each time and that's why systems come to address that. Where there's a loophole, staff will take advantage. But also, Angela talked about being present, always in her business. She's a very present MD. She's the first to open her shop and she's the last to close. We need to pick a lesson from that. And then I think communication is the other value. So I think that just to answer the question on how you recruit, it starts with what are your values? What do you stand for? What do you believe? What is your belief system? What is the culture that you're introducing in your business? Because then you go and look out for someone who fits the culture. They have the technical skills, but they have the soft skills that fit your culture. And then, of course, retention. I mean, listening to Angela's story, her employees are a team. She recruits, she trains them. There is always weekly, daily, they meet, communication is open. So I think all those are things that bring retention, that contribute to retention. People get comfortable and they feel they are valued, they feel they belong, but also they see growth. People want to see progress. They want to belong to something that grows. And so the challenge is to us entrepreneurs, how do you make sure that your business is growing and your staff are aware it's growing and they are benefiting from the growth? Okay, so Angela, do you want to say something before I want to bring this to a close? But a lot of compliments, Angela, good presentation, a lot of compliments in the group. But there is a question from Rachel. Rachel, do you want to ask your question in addition to this question on retention? So that Angela can take those two. And then I would like to bring this to a close. Rachel, please unmute and ask your question. Yes, Rachel? Okay, Rachel, I think Rachel is not, is failing to ask her question. Oh, Elizabeth, same paper, please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, Rosemary, for this opportunity. Angela, we are very, very grateful for this wonderful presentation. As women who do a lot of cleaning in our homes, cleaning, you know, their clothes and so forth, I don't know how you can share with us a few tips, how to keep, you know, the white
Elizabeth,
things.
you dropped off. Please repeat your question. As women who clean?
Yes, as women who do a lot of cleaning in our homes, cleaning doing the laundry in our homes, I would want her to share a few tips with us. I don't know whether I can do this on personal effort, or I don't know whether she can be able to share this later on in a book. I don't know how best to handle this. Thank you. Some guidance. Yeah. Certain
so
things.
Elizabeth wants to know, as women, we do a lot of cleaning at home, laundry, what tips, simple tips that will not throw Angela out of business? Because what you can't wash, send it to the laundry, send it to Spot Clean, and they will do the laundry for you. Whether it is your blankets, we bring our blankets here, we bring our duvets, we bring our shirts, our suits. So I think they have the entire range. But Angela, I'll let you respond to that. what simple tips can you give to us as we do our laundry at home? And then there was that question on how recruitment and retention, how you keep your staff motivated and staying with you. Yes, Angela, take those two, and then we'll bring this to a close.
Okay. Thank you very much. Retention, you mentioned quite a lot of it there. But treat them well. They are human. They are wives, they are mothers, they are husbands. You know, there are small things that you do that they will never forget. You know, if somebody's child is not well, they should not be so scared to tell you that they can't come to work, you know. So have a buffer in your staff that you can have two people. One is taking a child for vaccination, and then another one, the child is sick, or they have called them to go pick a child from school. So they shouldn't be crucified for those things. If they happen, they need to be give them, don't say so many things, it's okay. And work continues. You have your buffer team, they go step in, and when the ladies are done, if it is the ladies, they are back, you know. So I always remind myself they are wives, they are mothers, you know, and that comes with responsibility. So let us not forget those small little things. And many others, we pay them on time, you know. Yeah, but the first one, I always put myself in their shoes to help me make some decisions which are not written down. For small tips for cleaning at home, use good detergents. I won't mention them, but use good detergents. Don't mix colors, you know, dark, light, white, don't mix them up. The very dirty ones, work on them separate, because they can transfer the dirt onto the not very dirty ones. So those 3 tips, you know, learn to separate the very dirty items. Some need to be pre-soaked to have, you know, to work on them a little longer, and then just don't mix colors. And lastly, for Juliana, yeah, you need different bank accounts to move. Otherwise, those big bank balances can confuse you, you know, thinking that that money is yours. Yeah, and I just want to thank you all for spending some time and allowing me to share my story. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Angela. I think now we won't bring this to a close, but Angela has shared a lot of business principles, a lot of wisdom, and you've been an inspiration to those who are starting, to those who are in business. And I think at the heart of this all, you have summed it so well. Treat our staff well. Treat people well. Treat your staff well. Treat your customers well. Treat your suppliers well. Treat your partners well. Treat your family members well. It is really, I think that is at the heart of everything that Angela has shared. Empathize. You mentioned empathize. Put yourself in their shoes, whether it's a customer or it's a staff. I think that is so powerful. Employee empowerment. Angela, we thank you so much for sharing. It's been selfless sharing, and personally, I have picked a lot. And like we promised, we are going to share the slides. We shall share the slides with you on email, and there will also be the recording will be shared with you. Please go ahead and get the links and sign up for the next entrepreneurship training workshop. We shall reach out to you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for making this good choice to be with us this morning. And thank you so much, Angela, for this. I have watched you grow in your business. I admire you greatly, the way you do your things, very calmly, but extremely detailed and meticulous. And it is not surprising that in your values, the first one is meticulous. I wish you well. I wish you more growth. And for every entrepreneur here, I hope you have learned something. I hope that you can use this opportunity to improve your business. But also, should you want Angela, be her customer, go to any Spot Clean branch, take in your items, and you should be able to find her, or they will connect you to her. She is available and always willing to mentor. The fact that she treats her human resource well means she's somebody who loves people and will be able to help you. So some of your questions, you need to reach out and have a one-on-one. So with this, I want to thank you so much and to say Enterprise Uganda is your partner, your business trainer, your business advisor, your business mentor. And the good news is that by May of this year, we are moving into our own premises, a huge facility that will have enough space for you to come and do your networking, come and receive training, but also be able to exhibit your items. So we are going to have a lot of programs for entrepreneurs. So I want you stay tuned for this. We shall invite you for the launch around May or June, and it will be nice to have you all come in, and we continue doing business together. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day, and feel free to log off. Thank you.